Welcome and thank you for joining into today's Positive Forward Motion. This is your host, Denise Scattergood. Each week, I discuss a topic that is designed to help you get more of what you do want and less of what you don't want, both personally and professionally. My goal is to add value to others by sharing a topic in 8 minutes or less, topics that will empower, motivate, and inspire you to have more happiness and success. Today's topic is anxiety. Fears, we all have them. Some people are afraid of spiders, heights, or even the dark. And these types of fears are usually in the moment, temporary, and they go away. But some people deal with a different kind of fear called anxiety. Anxiety disorders can be unrelenting, immense feelings of fear and worry that have a tremendous capacity to debilitate our mind and body. They appear to be unmanageable and interfere with everyday living. And unfortunately, for a lot of people struggling with anxiety, it can be very difficult. As I mentioned, anxiety can be debilitating, causing problems in both our personal and our professional lives. Well, thankfully, anxiety is not permanent. And if it's something you experience, then I have really good news for you. You can overcome it. And when you do, you will have more success both personally and professionally. It's a long road. It's going to take a lot of practice, but it is incredibly worth it in the long run. And I'm not here to sugarcoat this at all. After all, facing your biggest fears is not something we typically volunteer to do. But keep this in mind. You have to want this. As the famous quote goes by Maya Angelou, nothing will work unless you do. If you really want to succeed in all matters of your life, but you find that anxiety is holding you back, you truly must put in the effort to slowly tackle your fears and change the way you think. Small, positive forward motion steps will help you break down barriers, which will make a huge impact over time. But you need to commit yourself to doing the hard work to get there. So I've searched high and low and gathered the 7 most practical and effective steps to consider when working on overcoming anxiety. And when you practice these steps with effort and dedication, I truly believe that you will be able to conquer your fears, which will help you propel your success and happiness. So let's get started with number 1, and that is to reflect. Understanding what makes you anxious is incredibly important, and it's the first step to overcoming our anxiety. So, after all, think about it. How can you overcome anxiety if you don't even understand where it's coming from? So, take a moment to think about when your anxiety flares up. Is there something that seems to trigger this response? Write these things down and keep track of what makes you feel this way so you can recognize it and stop it in its tracks before it gets out of control. Number 2, keep track of your thoughts when you're having extreme anxiety. So, when your anxiety is racing, it can be really easy to lose focus, and everything we think and do and say during these moments can come from a place of deep fear. In these moments, anxiety is controlling you, and the goal is to reverse this and become the one controlling the anxiety. But we need to recognize what we're thinking and determine if the fears are valid or if the anxiety is taking hold. So during my research, I found a few major categories that our thoughts might fit into. Number 1 is personalizing everything. For example, saying things like, everyone had an awful time at dinner and it's all my fault because I couldn't decide on what I wanted to order. Or having that all or nothing thinking where you may say, I got one question wrong, I'm a failure. Maybe you're overgeneralizing, saying things like, I didn't get hired for this job, I'll never get hired anywhere. Maybe your thinking at the moment is catastrophic. If my partner leaves me, I'll never find anyone else and I'll never be happy again. Maybe your thinking is mind reading and you're thinking that everyone thinks that I'm stupid. Or maybe your thinking is fortune telling. Tomorrow is going to be awful. Number 3, what you need to do is change your perspective. So now that you know what your negative thoughts are and how you're thinking, it's time to counter them. It's much easier said than done, but our mind is incredibly powerful. And consciously trying to shift our thinking patterns is proven to slowly rewire our brains. And I'm going to say that again, my friends. We can rewire wire our brains. And I think that is fascinating, but it's going to take work. So the next time you find yourself in a negative thinking trap, try talking yourself out of it by changing your perspective. And if you're not going to be able to take your own advice, then maybe practice like you're giving your friend or a family member this advice. Practice like you're talking to them and you're giving them advice to overcome it. So let's say you start thinking tomorrow is going to be awful. Try countering that by telling yourself, well, tomorrow hasn't happened yet, so I'm going to focus on today, do what I can to have the best day possible. Or let's say you're thinking along the lines of, I didn't get hired for this job and I'm never going to get hired anywhere. Shift that and tell yourself, well, I didn't get this job because maybe it wasn't the right fit for me. I just have to keep applying and soon I will find where I am supposed to end up. Step 4 is to familiarize and expose yourself. This is by far one of the hardest steps in overcoming your anxiety because it involves confronting the source of your stress. Exposing yourself to the source of the stress will familiarize yourself with it, and slowly it will become less and less stressful. For example, if you have a fear of crowds, start by walking through small crowds and directly putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Or if you have a fear of speaking to your professor, start slowly, maybe first by moving closer to the front of the classroom, then by sending them maybe an email, then asking for an in-person meeting. Perhaps your job requires you to pick up the phone and talk to a complete stranger. Take it one step at a time. Prepare your words, then pick up the phone, then dial and make the call. And think about it. What's the worst thing that can happen? 1, they might not even answer. 2, maybe they do and they hang up. So what? Try again. Little by little, the things that stress you out will slowly start to become familiar, and your anxiety in these situations will start to improve. Number 5, practice positive affirmations. Saying affirmations in your own voice is a very effective coping mechanism for reducing symptoms of anxiety. They can not only help distract you, but they can also help change negative or fear based beliefs. So, the next time you're feeling anxious, try repeating one of these affirmations to yourself. So, here's one. At this moment, I choose to release the past and look forward to the good that awaits me. Number 2, with each new breath, I inhale strength and exhale fear. I'm learning that it is safe for me to heal and grow. Number 3, at this moment, I choose to feel calm and peaceful. Everything is unfolding as it should. Number 4, at this moment, I choose to fill my mind with positive, nurturing, and healing thoughts. And number 5, at this moment, I realize there are no mistakes, only lessons to be learned. I will always do the best I can. The next step is don't forget about self-care. Put yourself first. Give yourself the chance to rest and recover. So when you're faced with a troubling situation, you can handle it to the best of your ability. Practicing self-care can be something as simple as getting enough sleep, listening to your favorite music, and making time to exercise. And number 7, ask for help. If you've been suppressing your anxiety, hoping and wishing someday it will go away, then it may be time to open up to a trusting friend, family member, colleague, or meeting with a professional. Many people with anxiety feel embarrassed and afraid of what others might think. This is your life and you are meant to shine. Ask for help because the longer you pretend that you got this on your own, the bigger the anxiety can grow. Overcoming anxiety won't be easy, but I promise it will be worth it. You know why? Because you are worth it. So start today. When you truly commit yourself, anything is possible. And it doesn't matter how small your step is, as long as you're taking it in the right direction. That's what I call positive forward motion. Thank you so much for listening in and for supporting Positive Forward Motion. And don't forget, you can tune in every Wednesday for a brand new episode that will empower, motivate, and inspire you to be your best, both personally and professionally. And as always, you can find a free PDF worksheet of my action steps under each podcast episode on my website, denisescattergood.com. And if you'd like more doses of positivity and motivation in your life, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Denise Scattergood. You can find me on Twitter at Alert Trainers. And you can also text the word positive to 31 31 31 to get even more positivity sent directly to your phone. If you like this episode, please remember to share, rate, and review because this helps spread our message of positivity. And remember, no matter how small your step is, as long as you're taking it in the right direction, that's what I call positive forward motion.